Now, sit back and enjoy today's Ask the Experts with host Steve-O.
Hey, good afternoon. You have the Ask the Expert show. We now have a new show. We've had so many requests. We have a new show on 7:40 a.m., our sister station, every Thursday from 3 to 4. And this is our 5th year here at 1470 a.m. on your drive home. Hey, it's estate planning day. And we have, I love this guy. I mean, don't take that the wrong way. But we have attorney, he's even laughing, Paul Labiner. And Paul is an estate planning attorney. And I have learned so much from him. And I'm going to tell you something. First of all, you do not have to have a lot of assets to do a will. Welcome, Paul. How you doing?
Thank you, Steve.
But you don't, why someone would not have a will? And I know it's because I've had friends who say, I don't have that much money. Well, what does that mean? You don't have that much money.
It's not a function of how much money. It's really a function of, how you want to distribute your assets and make sure that, that those assets are distributed, pursuant to your wishes. The fact that somebody doesn't have a will is a crime.
It is.
It's a crime, and it's and it's unfortunate because more often than not, those assets are going to be distributed not necessarily according to your wishes.
Yeah, exactly. So, listen, we always have new listeners tuning in for the first time. Tell everybody about your practice.
Sure, I'd be delighted to. Steve, it's great to be here again this afternoon.
It's such an easy show because the way you explain everything. See, this is what's so good about Paul being on the show, because estate planning, but you know what? It is so important, especially if you have any kind of assets. You should be planning early, and if you don't, we were just talking about it, if you don't plan early, I'm telling you, you're going to get yourself in a lot of trouble when you didn't have to. And we were just talking about probate. I have someone in my family who didn't think they needed to protect themselves, which is one of the things we're going to be talking about today. And now they're paying for it.
Absolutely.
So tell everybody about your practice.
Sure. And as I've expressed before, I don't like to think of myself solely as an estate planner, because there's just so much more to my background. There's just so much more to my specialization that deals with a plethora of different issues that is not just simply designing an effective and efficient estate plan.
And you're a financial planner.
Well, that's also true. I do have a financial services company. Because of my background, because of my experience, I deal with things on a much more, without sounding too corny, on a holistic basis.
Okay.
Yes.
That makes sense, yeah.
Okay. So it's not just, what happens at, Paul, what at the time of my death, how do I distribute my assets, efficiently? There's many during life legal issues that I'm confronted with many of my clients, and some that we're going to talk about today as it relates to asset protection. But the practice, and my practice, is really developed more into a wealth management firm that deals with taxes, that deals with asset protection, that deals with an orderly and efficient distribution of assets at the time of passing, that deals with different tax mitigation strategies, that deals with maximizing a corporate or professional practice with, pension plans or other tax mitigation strategies. So it's not just simply, oh, Paul, can you draft a will for me? Yeah, I could draft a will for you, and I could draft a revocable trust, and I could draft a lot of documents. But the key, and I've said this time and time again, is really sitting down and getting to understand the nuances of that family unit.
Everybody's different.
Everybody's different.
And it's really weird. I don't know why this came to my mind. When you die, you don't have to worry about what's going on.
Well, you don't.
But you should.
Well, you should. And, because people, as you and I were talking a little bit earlier, people spend 99% of their time with the accumulation phase of their assets. I just asked them, give me 1% of your time so I can develop a cohesive financial blueprint and create a fortress around your assets, create a fortress around your estate to ensure that those assets are not dissipated due to creditors, due to predators, due to unnecessary taxes, due to unnecessary delays. There's just so many things that can be done to ensure that there's an orderly and efficient use of your funds during your lifetime, as well as at the time of your demise.
I know Florence or Mildred are sitting, and they've, acquired some wealth assets, and they're going, I just have to be able to trust somebody. Trust is really big in your business.
It is. And, and there's...
We don't want you to Google somebody. This is why we have people like attorney Paul Labiner on our show, so you don't have to Google someone, because that's not the way to pick an attorney. Okay, we're giving you someone who knows 40 years?
It's been 40 years since I graduated law school 40 years ago, yes.
Yes. And listen, I'm going to tell you something. When you're not doing people right, you don't come on a show like this and expose yourself. So we've got someone who's really good. And you know what? Maybe you have someone and you've always wondered, are they giving you the right advice? You will sit down with somebody and go over their stuff and maybe enlighten them about things they weren't ever told.
It would be my pleasure to the listening audience at no charge or no fee.
I didn't even know that.
Okay, to come into my office, have a cup of coffee, have a glass of water.
Throw a bagel in?
Throw a bagel in if necessary. And let's just sit down and chat. No cost, no obligation. And I promise you that there'll be a set of circumstances, there'll be an issue, there'll be a concern that we'll uncover that should be addressed. Whether you choose to deal with it or not is purely your choice.
Maybe you're going to show them something different that was never shown to them.
Well, that's
also
also true.
It gives them something to think about.
I often recommend to clients, just as you would if you have a medical issue, to get a second opinion.
Right.
Okay? I believe that philosophy and that idea and that concept applies as well as it relates to, legal and financial related matters.
Well, I got to tell you, we're going to talk about asset protection today. So important. In fact, we were sitting here talking about it, and you're telling me things I've never even knew about. And I just wonder, in your business, are people sometimes afraid they're going to ask a stupid question, and they go without asking it?
Yeah, I think there's some avoidance that takes place. I think there's a psychological.
I don't want to sound dumb.
Right. I don't want to deal with these issues, or they're embarrassed. They feel that they're
embarrassed.
Right. So I think there's a psychological component, and I've been called on more than one occasion, a financial shrink, which is fine, because that's really the benefit of sitting down with a professional.
Yeah.
Is to get into the nuances of the family unit, is to get into
You're doing a history and physical.
Absolutely. Just like a doctor would.
Just different area.
Just like a doctor would in terms of your physical being. I do the same thing from a fiscal standpoint. And don't you want to take care of your fiscal matters just as importantly as you want to take care of your physical matters? It would seem to me that the two are congruent. The two work in tandem.
I got to throw this in, 'cause I love doing this, because Paul is such a good person. You have a son.
I do.
Who's an attorney also. He practices PI law, and I'll bet you if someone ever needs a personal injury attorney, because we're going to give out your phone number, they could call you and you would give them his number.
I would be delighted to. Yes, my son Brandon, the shining light of my eye.
Absolutely.
As well as my daughter, who's a nurse practitioner.
Where did your son go to school?
My son went to the University of Florida as an undergraduate and went to Nova Law School.
Oh, okay.
So he's very good school.
And your daughter is, I have a nephew who's a nurse practitioner.
My beautiful daughter Ariel is a nurse practitioner.
Where's she at?
She worked got her undergraduate at Florida State. She got her graduate degree at FAU locally.
Okay.
And now she works at a company called Ideal Image. So she's
not at a hospital.
She's not in a hospital setting. She opted to do more of the cosmetic, the dermatology, the anti-aging type of approach.
You know what? Very smart, because if they change these healthcare, that everybody's going to have healthcare. We don't have enough doctors.
She's doing wonderful.
Very smart.
I'm
very smart.
Very proud of both of my kids.
So we're going to talk about asset protection. Paul sent me questions, and I went, "Where's the rest of it?" And he said, "There is so much to learn." I mean, I'm looking like, where is it? But we've been talking for 15, 20 minutes. There's a lot about asset And there's 3 different ways.
Well, there is, and again, we can probably do our next show, just dealing with some of the components. But yeah, as I was chatting about, but before I do, I do want to put in a little advertising for my son.
This is your show.
This is my show. Okay,
This is your show.
So, if for those of you who are in need, have experienced an automobile crash or a personal injury,
Slip and falls,
by all means, please call my son, Brandon Labiner. He can be reached at 561-372-3800.
I'm proud to do that. If he's anything like his dad, I am proud to do that.
Thank you, Steve. I do appreciate that. So, asset protection. Let me, I see it broken down into 3 different components, as we were chatting
What is
earlier.
asset protection?
Asset protection takes on a different meaning.
You have to have millions of dollars?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
You just have to protect what you have.
Okay.
Okay. And again, using Florida as an example, if you're a homeowner and live in the state of Florida, you already have incorporated some asset protection within the confines of your financial blueprint, perhaps without you even knowing about it.
With your home.
With your home. Because under Florida constitutional law, that home is impervious to the outside world from creditors and predators.
Can't touch you.
Can't touch it. And if you even have creditors at the time of your death, if your planning is done appropriately, you can take the value of that house and extend the value of that house on the homestead for generations to come. So there are many issues.
That's why a lot of people probably move into Florida.
Well, that's exactly why a lot of people
Especially
move to
people in
Florida.
New York with the taxes they pay.
Well, not only because of the taxes they pay, but they also, if they have a big creditor who's knocking on their door,
They can take their home.
they can take, in New York, they can take you home. But if you buy that property here in the state of Florida, you have complete asset protection. You want to
So
beautiful
all
things.
you snowbirds that come here, what'd you say, 6 months and 1 day?
6 months in a day. So
Let this be your homestead.
absolutely. Not only from the standpoint of the homestead, but also from the standpoint of income taxes. We have the benefit of
How do you-
no income taxes here in the state of Florida.
How do you tell the government who your homestead is? So if you're in New York and you have a place here, how do you declare that?
Well, it's not a federal issue; it's a state issue.
Okay.
Okay. So you actually have to apply for your homestead protection here in the state of Florida, in the county in where you reside. So whether it's Palm Beach County or Broward County or Dade County or any
But
other
if
county,
you're only here for 4 months,
then you don't qualify.
you don't qualify.
That's correct.
Okay.
That.
Boy, is it worth to stay here 6 months in a
Florida
day?
is a wonderful state. Even in August, where we're sitting here now, yes, it's a little hot, a little uncomfortable, but I love Florida. It's a great
So
place.
that's one thing that's already built in.
That's built in. But again, the other 3 areas are the one that when people think about asset protection and think about what I need to do, most people think in terms of a lawsuit. Okay, this is where I get the calls at
People
the
are
11th hour.
sue happy nowadays.
Well, they are, unfortunately. As an attorney, I can tell you that. So I get the calls frequently, at the 11th hour. Paul, I just got this complaint. What do I do to preserve and protect my assets? Well, unfortunately, at that point in time, it's probably too late. Okay? Because pre-planning, because there's another statute called fraudulent conveyance that ostensibly eliminates the opportunity to do any real effective planning when that lawsuit is already in place.
Wow. Stay right there with us. Give everybody your phone number.
Okay. By all means, please feel free to contact me. I'd love to sit down and chat. I could be reached at 561-998-2362.
Paul's with us every month. You got the shows up
I do.
on your website. What is your website?
Website is Boca Raton Estate Planning. BOCAESTATE planning.com.
We're going to go to break, and we've got more with attorney Paul Labiner. He's an estate planning attorney, and I'm telling you, this is the man you just even for a second opinion. We're going to go to break. We'll come right back with Paul.
The law office of Paul S. Labiner has been providing quality and cost-effective legal advice to professionals, businesses, individuals, and families throughout South Florida, New York, and New Jersey for over 3 decades. Their mission is to provide personalized service which ensures that you, your family, your business, or your assets are safe and protected. Call attorney Paul S. Labiner today, 561-998 2362 and let him begin the creation of a financial blueprint in conformity with your needs, desires, and concerns. It took much effort and hard work for you to enjoy all that you have today, so it only makes sense that you implement strategies to protect and defend it. The law office of Paul S. Labiner, PA, is a reputable law office nestled in beautiful Boca Raton, Florida, that is dedicated to providing you with personalized legal services that meet the specific needs of your family. Attorney Paul S. Labiner designs estate plans that ensure the most effective transfer of wealth, implement policies to mitigate income and estate taxes, and draft wills and trusts to maximize your family's wealth. Call Attorney Paul S. Labiner today at 561-998-2362.
We're back here. This is the Ask the Expert show. I'm Steve O, and I've got attorney Paul Labiner here. He's an estate planning attorney. He's with us every month. And today we're talking about asset protection, and we're just really getting into it. So you were talking about the second thing.
Yeah, the second thing is...
There's actually three things.
Well, they're all sort of related.
Okay.
But again, most people think about asset protection in terms of that situation where, they're involved in a lawsuit. And what could I do to preserve and protect my assets?
God loves what you're doing.
Yeah, God, I hear this storm outside.
We were just talking. It's pouring outside right now.
So, but it really necessitates doing something prior to any lawsuit or any potential lawsuit coming down the pike. And if you are concerned about asset protection, as everybody should, yes, I have lots of doctor clients who are concerned about asset protection for obvious reasons. Yes, I have lots of business owners that are clients of mine that do a lot of asset protection for obvious reasons. However, most people don't realize that their assets are subject to creditors in any number of different circumstances. Let's take an automobile crash, for example. Okay, especially here in the state of Florida. Most people think that, okay, I have automobile insurance. I have automobile insurance and I have a $100,000 policy. Or I have a $300,000 policy. What happens in the event of a horrific automobile crash and the injuries are beyond that $100,000 policy limit or that $300,000 policy limit? Can they go after my assets? Yes, they can.
Wow.
Yes, they can.
Think of it that way.
Of course.
Because you look at what it costs to stay in the hospital, you're laid up 5, 6, 7. It's easy $1 million.
I can tell you from my son's practice, personal injuries, the expenses.
He does auto accidents.
Yeah, it is the expenses associated with various injury, various accidents could be, in the multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it's not unusual to potentially have some exposure when you think, okay, I have that third party, I have that insurance company that's indemnifying me, and yes, that's true. However, what are the policy limits? Number one, which is something that every one of your listeners should be looking at.
Yes.
Okay, and making sure that they have reasonable amount of limits.
Do you get into that?
Of course I do.
Auto insurance?
Of course, that
Wow.
and umbrella policies and developing a cohesive program to ensure that every aspect is preserved and protected.
Because you don't plan to be in a major automobile accident.
Of course not. Who does?
Yeah.
Until, of course, that the unfortunate set of circumstances when you're involved in that automobile crash.
And then you go, I wish I would have.
Right. And most people think about when they purchase their automobile insurance, well, what's the cheapest?
Right.
What's the cheapest? Well, I get that.
What's the least amount I need?
What's the and if you do look at it that standpoint, it's only $10,000.
Right.
So again, you need to be concerned about that. So look at your automobile policy. Look at incorporating, perhaps some umbrella policy to augment that if you don't have sufficient coverage, and then we can start talking about some of the other more sophisticated legal techniques.
These are things that people don't think about.
Well, of course not. But again, these are the realities of life today.
Yeah, I mean, because you work hard for your money.
You work hard for your money. Spend a little time trying to protect it and preserve it. And if nothing, God willing, and I mean this sincerely, God willing, none of these issues ever come before your family. Yes, did you spend a little bit of money paying me to to draft some documents and incorporate some planning techniques? Yes. Think of it as an insurance policy, because that's exactly the type of work that we do. We create legal barriers and legal techniques to protect and preserve your assets from any predator, from any creditor, whether it's an automobile crash, whether it's a slip and fall in your home.
You have a laundry list
I have,
in your head. You have a list of the protections of people. And I guarantee you, if someone's trying to do this themselves, there's no way they can think of all the different things that can happen to them.
I agree, Steve. I can tell you honestly that, unless you're engaged in dealing with an engaged a professional who deals with this type of arena, you would just not understand the full complement of the different issues that come into place.
People always think it can't happen to them.
Well, they say that until it's such time that it does happen to
Remember
them.
the people in the synagogue? Who would, in I think it was in
Pittsburgh.
Who would have thought going to Saturday morning services and some nutcase comes in and shoots up the place? You don't ever think of that.
Well, that's true, and it's unfortunate.
Yes. But
I like to tell my clients that when they're finished with me, we will have a cohesive financial blueprint and develop a fortress around your estate. A fortress around your estate during your lifetime to protect those assets during your lifetime, and create a fortress around your estate to protect and preserve those assets even after your death, to ensure that your children or divorces or unforeseen set of circumstances do not unnecessarily dissipate those assets.
I'm going to tell you why you need to call Paul. And this is a personal thing we were talking about. My Renee, her uncle passed away. He had some money.
Okay.
And family got some, but he also had a friend that is gone after the assets, and it's like he's like a pit bull. It's in probate now. No one ever, he didn't plan for this, and now everybody is suffering because he never, and like you said, it was so easy that he could have done something. Someone gave him some bad advice, or he would have been prepared for this. And this is what you do.
No question, Steve. I don't know the facts and circumstances, the full complement of what
Sorry
actually
to get so
happened.
excited, but
No,
it's
but-
so important what you do.
With just some simple time and effort, most of those issues can be eliminated. What are we talking about, Steve? We're talking about money,
Yeah.
okay? And there's a lawyer out there somewhere that is looking to try to get your money.
Well, in probate, that's what happens on the other side.
We have probate litigation, and lots of my fellow attorneys, God bless them all, make lots of money.
And we're not putting him down, but that's
Absolutely. But there are simple ideas and techniques to effectuate and eliminate those unfortunate set of circumstances. Whether you've passed away, or whether more just do it selfishly, forgetting about your death. Look at it from the standpoint of preserving and protecting assets during your lifetime. Look at it from the standpoint is and I get sued, if I get into an automobile crash, if things in the market as they have been recently turn south. What techniques, what financial products, what things can be incorporated to eliminate or certainly mitigate some of those exposures that you may have in life?
Listen, I know there's a lot of grandparents out there who, after they pass, they want their family, their grandchildren, their children to be taken care of.
Without a question.
But if you don't plan, you've got to have a game plan, period, end of story. And if you don't have a game plan, your wishes are not going to all be fulfilled.
No, that's true. And Steve, I get the comment, well, I'm dead, I don't care.
Oh, that's sad.
It's sad.
That is sad.
And I don't believe it. But what I do believe, and I believe this even from my own family, is that I'm not sure that my children will have the ability to accumulate wealth to the same extent as I did. And I'm concerned about that, even though they're both professionals. You know, my son being an attorney, my daughter being a nurse practitioner. You know, and they do very not well. But you know, I am legitimately concerned, and there's some health issues with my son that I there's some special circumstances that just add to the complement of my issues and concerns. But I know for a fact, in talking with many of my contemporaries, that they're concerned that their children may not have the ability to accumulate the wealth that they did.
You're already talking about people that if an emergency happened, that 80% of the population doesn't even have an extra $1,000.
Yeah, that's a shame.
That is a shame.
That is a shame.
Hey, I'm getting so serious here. I love doing this show with you. You are so perfect for estate planning. Give everybody your phone number.
I'd be delighted to.
I've just gotten all crazy today.
I'd be delighted to. Again, I can be reached at 561-998-2362. Again, that's 561-998-2362. If you'd like to drop me an email, I can be reached at Paul, P-A-U-L, at Labiner, PLABINER.ESQ.com.
And by the way, today's show will be up on his website next week, and he's got all of his shows. They're really good, especially if you're driving home and you don't have a chance to listen to them. Go to his website. Every show we have done is I'm just like blown away. I'm like in awe. I cannot wait for the next show. Paul will be back with us next month. Everybody have a wonderful week. It's really bad outside. Drive careful. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next Thursday, 7:40 a.m. That's the station, 7:40 a.m. from 3 to 4, and our Ask the Expert show here on 1470 from 5 to 6. We'll see you next week.
The law office of Paul S. Labiner has been providing quality and cost-effective legal advice to professionals, businesses, individuals, and families throughout South Florida, New York, and New Jersey for over 3 decades. Their mission is to provide personalized service which ensures that you, your family, your business, or your assets are safe and protected. Call attorney Paul S. Labiner today, 561-998-2362, and let him begin the creation of a financial blueprint in conformity with your needs, desires, and concerns. It took much effort and hard work for you to enjoy all that you have today, so it only makes sense that you implement strategies to protect and defend it. The law office of Paul S. Labiner, PA.